Hi, my name is Liz Wessel, and I am in Anaheim, California. Today is November 4th, and I am with my friend and colleague, Lydia.
Hi, my name is Lydia Thangaiyan. I live in Orange, California. I have known Liz through work at Providence. It's been a pleasure working with Liz for the past 10 years.
Wow, 10 years. That's quite a long time, and your contributions have been so significant. You could just share a little bit about where you grew up and what that was like.
So I was born in India. My parents have 3 kids. I'm the youngest in the family. I have a brother who lives in Sydney. My sister still lives in India with my parents. I grew up in a Christian home in India. We didn't have a lot of the facilities we have now growing up, but we were a very small family, content with what we had. One of the things my parents stressed heavily is education. My dad chose banking as his career choice. My mother has always been a homemaker. And I have to say, I draw a lot of inspiration from both my parents. My dad gives me the hardworking, very ethical, will not bend the rules, very black and white when it comes to law and following the rules. And so I think I get that from my dad. And then from my mom, very faith-based, very simple in her approach to life, relied heavily on God for everything. I think her highest education was 9th grade. But had this thing to make sure that what she missed out on, she would need to provide for her children. My mom didn't know how to speak English very well, but kind of was all self-taught. With my schoolwork, she would help me with my homework. She would have question papers ready for me when I came back from school to just revise my subjects, help me a lot with exam prep by waking up with me at 4 a.m. I have a lot of fond memories of that help and support I received from my mom. I don't think any of us in our family would have been successful and done what we've accomplished without my parents. I got my bachelor's in psychology. I did a year of my master's in medical and psychiatric social work. An uncle of mine knew about what my passion was and filled out an application to be part of an international volunteer program in England. I didn't even know he had filled out the form for me. So I got this letter in the mail when I had finished my first year of my master's saying, "You've been invited to go to England for a year." And my placement was in an adult home for people with learning disabilities. It was one of the turning points in my life because I've never been away from home. I was always very protected at home. My dad said, "Go." And for my dad to say that was a huge step. And my mom, who was also very homebound, she was like, "Go. This is your opportunity." So they bought me a one-way ticket because that's all they could afford. And that was the first time I stepped out of home, got on a plane, and went to a brand new country. I didn't know anybody there. My uncle had arranged for one of his friends' families to become my host for the year. I went to England for a year, met some amazing people from different countries. And I would say that experience really opened up my eyes to all the possibilities out there. I served in a home called Helena House. I did shift work. So the volunteer program, they would pay you a monthly stipend of £100. That's all you had to live on each month. And they provided you housing. I had to learn everything from scratch. We didn't have microwaves in India. We didn't have washing machines in India growing up. So my housemates were really patient. They taught me everything from scratch. It was just nice to have that well-rounded experience. I got to travel. It was just a huge adjustment. I thought to myself that I wouldn't make it in the first 6 months when I got there because I was missing home a lot. And I thought this was probably the worst decision I made. But the work was very meaningful. I would take care of people that had Down syndrome, but they were adults. Most of them were nonverbal. The home on the other side had individuals with mental illnesses. That was even more challenging because there was a lot of violent behaviors that you had to cope with. I remember sitting once with one of the people in the house that wanted to stab the other person with a sharp pencil. And I had no experience working with such extreme behaviors. And I literally remember sitting with her, holding her down on one side with the other person holding her down on the other side till the meds kicked in and she was able to calm down. It was just getting used to different behaviors and coping with it. And that really taught me a lot to prepare myself for unexpected circumstances. When I first walked in there, the person said, "Don't leave your hair down, make sure you tie it up." And I couldn't understand why until later on When I walked in for my shift, one of the caregivers was down on the floor, her hair being held down by one of the people living there, because apparently when she was growing up, she was forced to cut her hair. And so she just had an obsession with people that had long hair and wanted to just yank it off. That was really a humbling experience. Working with people with special needs is always a very special place in my heart.